Hey dudes, it's Space, and I have shaky VR hands. And that is really hard to admit, but if you look back at some of my older TikTok videos, you'll see comments like, holy shaky hands, Batman. And honestly, that one kind of hurt because I had to stop and stare at it for a second. And then I looked at the video, and then I looked at the comment, and then I looked at the video. And honestly, while I never wanted to admit that it was that bad, it really does look like my reticle's just shaking all over the place. And it was bad enough to the point that one of my friends actually bought me a gunstock. Now, while that gunstock wasn't the one in the video, it was one of those like cheaper ones where it has the shoulder strap and the controller snapped into the top of it. Since I play seated, I had a problem with the gunstock kind of falling over in my lap all the time and like having to readjust it. My squad mates are like, dude, why aren't you moving? And while it did drastically steady my aim, it kind of caused a lot of other problems. And this leads us back to a few weeks ago. I got a message from a representative of SKOL VR on TikTok, basically saying like, hey, how would you like to ditch the knockoff gunstock and try out one of ours? And y'all know me, I'm like always up for trying some new gear. So we checked out the SKOL SMARTstock, which they were kind enough to send me in the mail. And honestly, dudes, it's been great. I got to ditch the whole shoulder strap thing, and I got to ditch the whole snapping my controllers into the top of it, which was really a massive problem for swapping guns and reloading, especially since the bottom of that stock was underneath the controllers, so I had always had trouble like getting a mag into a gun in Ghost of Tabor. So anyway, the SMARTstock arrives, and like my first thought of it was like, where's the shoulder strap? How am I supposed to hold this? Well, the answer ended up being pretty obvious. They've got these like really nice padded hand strap things going on in this, where you just kind of like slide it in. And as you can see, instead of having to snap my controllers into it every time, they slide into these little pieces right here, which it turns out is super easy to do. Just kind of put the controller in there and it snaps right in. And things like reloading and going back to moving got a lot easier when I realized you could just snap it onto the front of it. And this is cool too, because instead of having to be really exact with my location, which is really hard to do sometimes when you're wearing a friggin' helmet on your head and you can't actually see it, it's got a fairly strong magnet on the front. So like you get it close and it just kind of snaps back in. So like I could be kind of below it and it just slides right back into place, which is really convenient. This whole back piece just screws out, which is pretty convenient if you're looking for like more of a compact setup. On top of that, you don't necessarily need to use the extender for it. I kind of have it all the way out because I like to keep the gun stock against my shoulder when I'm shooting. I went ahead and tried it out in a few of my favorite VR FPS games, tried it out in Forefront, tried it out in Ghost of Tabor, tried it out in Veil in the extraction mode. And honestly, what I found is that out of all of the VR accessories that I use, this is probably the most helpful thing I've ever had in VR. As you can see in the footage here, my hands are significantly steadier than they were in the little clip that I showed you at the beginning of the video, which was really representative of my experience for the first like 6 years of me being in VR. And even with my hands being continuously attached to the gun stock, I found that it's way easier than the previous gun stock I had to do things like grab a nade and chuck it and then go back to pulling my gun out, grabbing my backpack, taking stims, and all those other little things you have to do in the games aside from just aiming and shooting. So yeah, this thing's been a huge game changer, and honestly, I didn't think it was going to be when they first offered to send it to me. The original gun stock I had was the first one I'd ever had, and I wasn't really able to see how different styles of gun stock might be better or worse than any other, because I mean, it's a gun stock, right? Like the entire point is to be able to point and shoot. As it would turn out, I couldn't have been any more wrong about that than I was at the moment. And I was also really surprised to find that the SMARTstock is only like $42 on their website compared to the $34 that the cheap knockoff one's going for on Amazon. But it's definitely become like an essential item for when I go to load up an FPS game. I couldn't imagine loading into Ghost of Tabor right now without using my gun stock. I've been shooting straighter, I've been feeling more confident, and nobody's been making fun of my shaky hands on TikTok anymore, which is kind of fantastic. So yeah, dudes, I guess what I jumped on here to tell you is this is definitely my new favorite VR accessory. I want to put out a big thank you to SKOL VR for sending me this in the first place, and also hooking me up with a 5% discount on their site using code SpaceRoach, which was pretty cool of them, so I could hook my community up on, you know, the good stuff. And if you've never had a gun stock before, you're probably kind of skeptical about new VR doohickeys and how much they actually help, but I'm telling you dudes, like it really does make a big difference in my game. And for those of you that are big gun stock enthusiasts, maybe drop in the comments and let me know what you use and what makes it awesome, because I'm definitely hooked on not having shaky hands in VR anymore. The materials in this thing are 3D printed. I'm still very nice and sturdy. I've never felt like it was bending or going to break or anything like that yet. Fingers crossed. I appreciate y'all jumping on to look at my new toy. And of course, as always, if you're into VR and you're into new VR stuff, new VR games, new VR accessories, go ahead and drop a sub on the channel. Maybe even share the video with your shaky-handed friend that never hits anything. And until next time, my dudes, this is SpaceRoach. Thank you for watching my short overview of the SKOL SMARTstock. Live long and prosper, and I'll catch you out on the battlefield.